The Center of Sustainable Asian City within our School of Design and Environment is really a very strategic entity within our education and research agenda for the school. Established back in 2010, it really had the foresight and the vision to recognize that cities are going to be very, very important entities in the future contribution to sustainability in the global context.
In 2008, for the first time in history, more than 50% of the world's population lived in cities. And it was obvious to us that the solution to solve the problems of sustainability and global climate change, it has to be in the cities.
Asian cities, as well as many cities in developing countries, encountering different types of problems of sustainability, whether it is in the area of urban pollution, traffic, congestion, high density, rapid urbanization, waste management. There's a whole host of different types of issues that call for new solutions, that call for in-depth study. And I think that's the purpose of the center is really to try and look at these issues holistically and hopefully provide comprehensive solutions.
Asian cities have their own particular characteristics, be it social, cultural, or even of form and density. We focused on the various issues confronting Asian cities: density, public space, biodiversity, even of industrial ecology and traffic.
Coming from an academic institutions, we don't want to be just focusing on practical solutions. I think a lot of our concern is also to ensure that our research is rigorous, is grounded in proper theoretical underpinnings, extensive literature review, and sound and robust methodology. And I think that is really important to us to ensure that it stands up in terms of academic scrutiny.
Just to solve those kind of problems in cities, we cannot deal with it in a piecemeal or a silo manner. It has to be done in an integrated and knowledge-based and evidence-based approach. That's where the research that is being conducted in CSAC, which engages all the various faculty and researchers from our architecture, building, and real estate and industrial design domains, are critical success factors to deliver quality knowledge and quality solutions to those questions that are being posed in emerging cities.
As a research center, we feel that it is critical for us to understand the policy framework, the governance framework. And so in that regard, we actually work very, very closely with many of our agency partners. So in Singapore, we work with the Urban Redevelopment Authority, the LTA, National Parks Board, HDB, to support evidence-based decision-making and policy formulation.
We collaborated with CSAC on a project to study how some of the global cities plan, and also as we try and move towards being a more car-like society, we were interested to see how some of these global cities also encourage their people to take more public transport instead of cars. CSAC gave us very useful information about some of the performance indicators that these cities perform relative to Singapore. It's basically something that we need to look at deeper to see how we can learn from these cities.
Because we also work for various government agencies as well as our industry partners, so we are conscious of coming up with solutions or ideas relating to development strategies. We have built up quite a good database on case studies relating to urban regeneration, whether in Asia and in various other cities. We also look at eco-cities, cities that have adopted eco paradigm, and we look at how these cities are profiled in terms of the different types of indicators that are used, the tools that are used, the design methods, the urban planning, master planning strategies, and all these are the different kind of things that we bring together, oftentimes in an urban planning context and in the master planning context. That's also included in our research portfolio. We work in close collaboration with our sister departments or faculties within NUS. So it could be the sociology department, it could be the engineering department, it could be the science department, it could be the public policy department. And we try and draw them into our research in terms of their contribution, their domain field, their research, their expertise in these different areas. So that our work, the end result of our work is actually quite comprehensive and holistic.
We work very closely with the Center for Sustainable Asian Cities in areas related to aging and healthcare. As you are aware, global population is aging rapidly, including Singapore, and this is where there are a lot of solutions that relates to planning and urban design, where we can design and plan to improve the quality of life for the elderly in the urban environment.
The projects of the centre, there's quite a wide range. Some of them are more policy oriented. We talk about institutions, talk about governance, but there are also those projects that are very, very technical. So we have teams from our architecture department, from our design team. They work on computer simulations, they do visualization, and really build up these models so as to actually test environmental performance.
The research projects that I've led as principal investigator at the center are based on close collaboration with government agencies that combine academic objectivity and policy understanding. The various research projects focused on developing a methodological approach to urban space planning for sustainable high-density environments and design for social sustainability, involving community-based participatory approaches. The research outcomes address the challenges and opportunities that Asian cities face with accelerating social change, focusing on the social dimension of sustainable development. The ultimate aim is to attain robust research outcomes that are useful for urban governance, planning practice, and for enhancing urban life quality and community well-being.
From 2016, I've been working together on a collaborating project with the National Arts Council, researching on arts and culture node strategies that they have implemented in the heartlands of Singapore. Singapore arts and cultural development recently experienced a shift from more hardware-oriented development in terms of premium venues for the arts in the center of the city, towards a more softer approach, community-centered approach towards arts and culture development. This strategy is relatively new to Singapore, and it breaks the barriers of arts participation for the residents across the island.
With overseas universities, we have also been collaborating with universities that are well established in their respective fields, and we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we have collaboration, for example, with Yale University. So we work with them on closed-loop systems, urban metabolism. We work with Kassel University in Germany in areas of climate mapping. We work with Hong Kong CUHK on mapping air quality, pollution, wind corridors, and those areas. The idea is to actually create this environment that is really research intensive, and the different researchers can sit together, thresh out different ideas, share their knowledge, and work together in a synergistic manner. And I think that's the kind of approach that we want to take. Whether it is very senior researchers or young researchers from all different disciplines related in different ways, to actually synergize so as to broaden our understanding of the different issues. So I think it is actually quite a building kind of the different types of networks that we hope to make our research as holistic and as as comprehensive as possible.
We were able to attract researchers from all over the world, I would say from more than a dozen countries, to come work with us, research with us, and contribute their insights and experience of cities.
I've been working with CSAC since 2016. Coming from a background of transportation planning, the project that I've dealt with at CSAC is benchmarking urban sustainability indicators. In the project, I worked with a zoologist, a planner, an architect, and me myself being an engineer. The cultural and research diversity that CSAC teaches you and inculcates in you gives me the extra edge that I need at my PhD at the National University of Singapore.
Based on the experience in CSAC, bridging gap between the practice and academia, I could prepare a better proposal, not only focusing on the practice where I come from, but also try to consult more about systematic review of what is the up-to-date knowledge. So those are the things that I gain as a benefit to proceed the next step, which is my PhD study.
There are other various international conferences that we get our researchers, our PhD, graduate student researchers to attend, so as really to ensure that we can debate and discourse with researchers in a similar field. So EcoCity, the World Summit in Abu Dhabi, it can be the World Urban Forum we went to in Naples and Italy, as well as the ICLEAR conferences. We tend to participate more on the research side of these conferences and share our work with similar people working in a similar field, and also of course learn from them at the same time. What we hope to do also to support the work of international organizations. So quite often we have regional international organizations coming to us to ask us to take a part in some of their projects. So, for example, we were recently working with the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, in Japan, and they've asked us to actually work with them on an assessment framework for different cities in the APAC region. We helped them and we completed the project, and it took us some time, but we actually presented the project at one of the APAC conferences that was held a year ago. We were actually working also with UN Habitat not too long ago, also to develop, they call this an eco-civilization set of indicators or framework to pursue sustainable development or ecological cities in China. So we actually used one of the Chinese cities, Guiyang, as a kind of a context actually to actually develop this set of indicators for them. So there are a number of these different types of projects where we are in close collaboration with the international organizations. ADB in Manila, for example, they were interested in the framework that we developed for sustainable growth, which was part of our benchmarking study, and invited us to actually present the framework to their consultants and researchers, so to see, in fact, if they could actually use some of the indicators to actually support their work in their development assistance programs for various cities. So all that actually give us a little bit of international exposure, but also help us to actually to see how our work can dovetail with some of these organizations, to see how we can actually support their work and really make our research useful and relevant to Asian cities and to other cities in the developing countries. I think there are two important areas that I think that is really we want to say about how our center approach our research. Firstly, I think it has got to be solutions oriented. We really have to come up with ideas and research outcomes that make an impact, that really can be used to make society better. And the second is that at the heart of sustainability has got to be people. People has got to be in the center in terms of the livability of the environment, the quality of life in the city, and their sense of well-being.